One thing I and my sisters love to do is quote famous lines from movies. As a writer, I love the notion of certain lines going from simple words recited by an actor to meaningful phrases etched on the brains of the populace. Also, I wonder what takes certain phrases from simply serviceable to the plot to remembered fondly. I think it has something to do with what I just said. That these lines are a part of the plot, but most of the lines that I have down that are memorable center around character. In a script, a scene is supposed to serve one of two functions. Either they push the plot forward or they reveal character. And my favorite quotes are all great examples of lines that reveal character. Starting with number 10, a favorite line from Batman '89.
Batman, can somebody tell me what kind of a world we live in where a man dressed up as a bat gets all of my press? This town needs an enema.
I have said before that Batman '89 is my favorite Batman, and Jack Nicholson is my favorite Joker. He had many good lines in this movie, but this one demonstrates his motives. He doesn't just want to stir up chaos, he also wants attention. His origin was as a member of Jack Palance's gang. He had power, but not ultimate power. He was also betrayed by his boss and so-called best friend. I mean, he slept with his so-called friend's girlfriend, but he didn't think it was a trespass big enough to call for murder.
Fried, is that what you heard? You set me up over a woman. A woman!
When his friend killed him, he became Joker and he went about getting revenge and causing chaos.
The pen is truly mightier than the sword.
But the chaos was just a vehicle for him to get attention. First, he poisoned everyone. Then he went on TV to make sure that everyone knew that the poisoning was on purpose and that he did it.
6 new deaths, with no clues as to the Joker's deadly weapon.
And what is the pattern?
Or worse yet, there may be no pattern.
He wasn't upset that Batman foiled his plans. He was upset that Batman took attention away from him.
Mr. Dent, what do you think of the theory that the mysterious Batman is a mob enforcer killing these people?
I don't have any comment, no.
Next at 9, sticking with Batman '89 and Jack Nicholson.
Who do you trust? Me? I'm giving away free money. And where is the Batman? He's at home, washing his tights.
Building on number 10's premise, the Joker, still upset at Batman pulling focus away from him, took up space at a parade where he literally showered the crowd with money just so he can prove that he was better than Batman, right before he attempted to kill them all. It wasn't enough for him to kill them. He needed them to know he was better than Batman because Batman had took away his attention.
The police have got it wrong. They're looking for one product. The Joker's tainted hundreds of chemicals at the source. The poison only works when the components are mixed. Hairspray won't do it alone, but hairspray mixed with lipstick and perfume will be toxic and untraceable. Take that to the press.
At number 8, we move to a line that my sister and I quote all the time from the epic comedy, Dodgeball. Don't ask us why.
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Probably not. No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
So Dodgeball is a very goofy parody of the classic underdog movie. The trope usually follows a group of outcasts that have to save a community center or some other type of building important to their group. Think Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. If you don't know what that is, find it, watch it, thank me later.
These kids have put together such a show here today and single-handedly have raised over $150,000, which is some kind of feat. They have to raise at least $200,000. Are they going to make it? Well, we're going to support them. And you should too.
So in Dodgeball, they're trying to save their underdog's gem by winning a dodgeball tournament.
So that's the deal. We got 30 days to raise $50,000, or average shows us history.
The quote is taken from the required washed-up expert who comes in to train them. It makes zero sense, but is in the vein of the usual washed-up expert's motivation speech. This phrase is a great example of how Patches fits into this trope.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
At number 7, another Ben Stiller classic.
What is this? A center for ants!
Ben Stiller is great for coming up with phrases that just stick in your head.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
And this one from Zoolander is a classic. It mainly demonstrates just how dumb Zoolander is, but it also shows that he means well.
How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?
At number 6, we have my favorite line from The Godfather.
That little farce you played with my sister. You think that could fool a Corleone?
This is my favorite line from both parts 1 and 2. It was at the end of the first movie where Michael has consolidated power and was wrapping up loose ends. His brother Santino had been murdered a while ago in the movie, and it seemed like it was never going to be addressed. Until Michael tells Gino that he had to answer for Santino.
You have to answer for Santino, Carlo.
Proving that the family knew it was him all along. Michael completes his transformation from idealistic soldier boy to mafia don when he lies to Kay right before one of his men kisses his ring.
This one time I'll let you ask me about my affairs.
Is it true?
No.
That Corleone.
But the scene with Gino demonstrates why he was always the only choice to replace Don Corleone. He was patient, unlike Sonny, whose famous fiery temper was used against him and led to his death.
Clean it up!
Son of a bitch! Son of a bitch!
What's the matter?
He was cunning, unlike Fredo, who was so unsuited to the life that he was used to make an attempt on Don Corleone. Michael went to college, so he had the mix of book smarts and street smarts, and he used that to his advantage. When he confronted Gino, he proved that he is his father's son. At number 5, we have the best known line from The Godfather Part 3, a movie that gets no respect.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
I feel like The Godfather Part 3 gets uncalled for hate. It wasn't as good as the first two, but it also wasn't the worst film ever made. Truly, the worst parts of the movie centered around Sofia Coppola.
Tony says that I'm a front for the foundation, that you're using me just to pull the strings, to get the money where you want it.
Oh, come on, please.
And she has made amends for her performance by becoming a really good director. But despite all the hate, this line is the best known part of the movie. It was Michael who had made all of these optimistic plans to legitimize the family for the sake of his children. Just for all his plans to fall apart and he had to go back to doing what he did best. He was sad but resigned, and it was an omen for him never being able to escape the life that was practically chosen for him. At number 4, we have a Tom Hanks classic.
There's no crying in baseball!
Again, you have the movie about a bunch of underdogs and the washed-up experts sent to coach them. But this isn't a parody. This is a sincere movie. One of the best. In a league of their own, the entire women's baseball league was the underdogs, not just one team. It was during World War II when the owners of men's baseball teams didn't want to stop making money, despite the fact that there was a war going on and people were dying. But no one wanted to go see mere women play baseball.
Girls can play ball! Number 11, Number 1, Ellen Sue Gutland.
So they did all they could to convince people not away at war to spend their hard-earned money on baseball. They hired Tom Hanks' character, who might have been a Hall of Famer, just to bring in his fans.
You know, I was listening to the radio when he hit that home run off Hubble to win the pennant.
Oh, yes.
Right? I'm gonna get him to sign my husband's baseball card.
Oh.
He, of course, was just there to get a paycheck, but soon the women made him and all of the spectators sit up and take notice. Eventually, Tom Hanks' character goes from just collecting a paycheck to being fully invested in his team. And because this was his first time coaching women, he did not know how to not treat them like men, especially once he saw them as actual ball players.
Now you start using your head! That's that love that's 3 feet above your ass!
On the one hand, when he said that line, he was being insensitive. But on the other, it kind of showed how he saw them as equals.
Rogers Hornsby was my manager, and he called me a talking pile of pig shit. And that was when my parents drove all the way down from Michigan to see me play the game.
He didn't feel the need to bow down to their female sensitivities.
Perhaps you chastise her too vehemently.
They played like real ball players, so he wanted them to act the part. The fact that he was thrown out of the ball game just because he was yelling at one of his players was kind of condescending.
Good rule of thumb. Treat each of these girls as you would treat your mother.
So, number 3 is a cheat. If you've seen any of my other countdown videos, you would know that I like to cheat from time to time. It's basically every one-liner said by Dolly Parton in Still Magnolias.
Am I interrupting something?
No, I'm just screaming at my husband. I can do that anytime. Because this is going in the Hairdo Hall of Fame. Well, speaking of drawers, hang on to yours. Ta-da! Well, I am going to paint my front door red and change my name to Elizabeth Arden. Maybe she was praying for Marshall and Drew and Belle. Maybe she was praying for us because we were gossiping. Maybe she was praying because the elastic is shot in her pantyhose. Who knows?
Dolly Parton has some of the best one-liners in Still Magnolia. Still Magnolias is a movie my sisters and I can quote from beginning to end. And on one road trip, we did. And my niece and nephews thought we were crazy.
I like pink. Pink is my signature color.
Dolly Parton's character, Truvy, was always quick to have something witty to say. But her quick wit was kind of like a defense mechanism. She was funny, witty, and deep down, very sad. Her marriage was going through a rough patch because her husband was unemployed and depressed. The saddest part of Truvy's story was that her husband didn't come around until Shelby died because he realized that if the wife that he took for granted were to die, he might be sad.
I feel sorry for him, you know? I mean, especially Jackson, losing Shelby like that. Something like that ever happened to me, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do.
Then to make it up to her, what does he do? Buy her flowers? Take her on a romantic date? No, he opens up a second location for her beauty shop. In the moment, Truvy was ecstatic and happy that he helped her further her career and business. But earlier in the film, Truvy said the last romantic thing he did was enclosing this carport so she could support them.
Well, the last romantic thing my husband did for me was back in 1972. He enclosed this carport so I could support him.
He just gave her more work. Now she has to hire someone to manage the extra location and manage more employees. Yeah, thanks. Number 2 is my favorite part of the first Iron Man movie.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Now this quote says more about Tony than the person saying it. Tony had a reputation for being a kind of playboy, but underneath it all, he was actually a
genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Nobody took him seriously, but when he put his mind to it, he not only saved his own life, he created a super suit that his own company couldn't replicate. Jeff Bridges' character, if you haven't realized by now, I can't remember most characters' names most of the time, was interested in replicating Tony's weapon so that he could sell it to terrorists and push Tony out of his own company. But Tony was too good to duplicate. Kind of like that phrase, always replicate and never duplicate it. Jeff Bridges made a suit like Tony, but just bigger. Because untalented people always seem to think that making something bigger makes it better. It did give brute strength, but failed in every other aspect where Tony's suit succeeded. It's fitting that the response to that quote is,
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not Tony Stark.
Yeah, no one is.
Iron Man.
And finally, in the number 1 spot comes a line parodied so much, I can't even count.
You can't handle the truth!
I covered this scene in my video on auteur theory. A Few Good Men was written by Aaron Sorkin, known for his great writing. The line was said by someone who appeared on this list before, Jack Nicholson. He is one of the greatest, and this is probably one of his best performances. Everything from that line to "you damn right I did" encapsulated his character perfectly.
You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
It included what he felt important and why he felt he was so important.
He eats breakfast 300 yards away from 4,000 Cubans that are trained to kill him.
To him, nobody really understood what was really on the line because they didn't have his job.
You can have all the transfer orders that you want. But you have to ask me nicely.
They didn't know what he knew, and they didn't have the balls to do what it takes to protect this country of ours in Guantanamo Bay. So those are some of my favorite quotes from movies. What type of quotes do you usually go for? Tell me in the comments below. If you enjoy my videos, please support my channel by subscribing, joining my membership, or donating through Ko-fi, Cashapp, or Super Thanks. Or you can purchase merch related to my fantasy novel or just buy my fantasy novel, The Fairy Princess. And let's continue the conversation in the Fairy Princess Facebook group. All links are in the description. Thanks.